recently Michael Jordan was just in the basketball headlines for saying Steph Curry isn't a Hall of Famer yet.
Yet.
Do you think? I think he was being literal as you can be with that. Like he wasn't being figurative. I don't think it was a shot at or a stab at Steph.
Right.
Steph literally isn't in the Hall of Fame yet.
Right. I think.
Because they made the thing was they was making a deal about his five for his pickup team.
Right.
It was him, Magic, Scotty, Hakeem, and James Worthy. And he was like those players he played with and played against. Yeah. So it's like
And that's the five he picked in a question. It was like 5 or 6 years ago.
That's how it got brought up again.
Right. I think he literally meant like yet, and then like all the players that are on his team are in the Hall of Fame because they're all retired basketball players. So and the first started off to all the people that says, why did he even mention Steph Curry? Number one, he was asked a question about Steph Curry, or the guy actually brought Steph Curry's name up. So he didn't just randomly say something about Steph. So that shuts down all of the all these older guys hate on the younger generation things. That we're gonna shut that down. The guy asked him about will he still pick his same 5, and he said, yeah, I still roll with my guys. I know these dudes. I know how they gonna play. And then he was like, oh, so Steph Curry shouldn't feel offended. Of course not. He shouldn't feel offended. He's still a great player. He ain't a Hall of Famer yet, like me and my niggas. It's as simple as that. And people, it's just funny though. People think that it's like a particular 5 you gotta pick if you picking your starting 5. First of all, Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan. You can run with Steph Curry, but Michael Jordan knows that he has Michael Jordan on his team. That's number one. So whoever else is on the team is null and void because you got Michael Jordan on your team. And after that, I can see him wanting to pick Magic Johnson. Magic, whether you got Steph as the second best point guard, third, or first, if Steph is first, guess who's second? Magic Johnson. So you got a top 2 player in his position. Scottie Pippen is a top 5 defender all time, especially at his position. And he won 6 championships with this man and didn't lose no game. I'm picking Scottie Pippen too. People want to hate on James Worthy. He was 6'8", and he won the MVP of the NBA. I would pick James Worthy also. And do we need to even talk about Hakeem? Top 5 as a center, 2-time champion, 2-time Finals MVP. Come on, guys. The guy he was like, give me Marisol, he picked 5 Hall of Famers whose stripes can't be talked about. Like, come on. But with that said, though, about the Hall of Fame coming, I really literally think he means because as we can't speak to being a Hall of Famer because we not in. So everybody can speculate, but the people that are in, they're obviously gonna take it another level serious than we do because it's like it's easy to just say, oh yeah, he's gonna be a Hall of Famer one day, and then which Steph is gonna be and he is gonna get inducted one day. But it's easy to just say, oh, he's gonna be a Hall of Famer one day. People say that about Penny. He ain't in there, right? People said that about Weber. He can't get in there yet, right? As easy as people try to make it, it's pretty hard to get in the Hall of Fame. It is. And they take that seriously. You can't be mad if somebody say, oh, yeah, you ain't in the club yet. You might get here one day, but you're not here yet.
I think why we as a fan take it for granted, because we see so many different people getting in, like, why is he in there?
Right.
That we forget how serious it is.
We thought Derrick Rose was getting in the Hall of Fame. He going to be the first MVP to not make the Hall of Fame. So you do gotta finish the journey. Steph's gonna get in. Right. He already got 3 championships, 2 MVPs. He can retire today, and he's good because he's played over 10 years at this point. So he's good. He's gonna get in. But finish the journey, players. Right. Finish the journey.
With that being said, I'm Jon W.
It's Fresh X,
and we are the Hoopers.
The Hoopers.
Few teams are 2 games in. You got a couple. You got
about a weekend on the NBA season.
Yeah, the first couple games in, a half a weekend. Can't take much after 2 games.
But no, the Clippers are winning the championship. The Warriors are going to have the number 1 pick. Siakam's the MVP. Like 1 week. Actually, Kawhi probably would be the MVP,
right? But two games in, Clippers are 2-0.
2-0.
Minnesota's 2-0.
Cat looked like the MVP, right? 37. Last game, right? 37 last game, 36 the first game.
37-15. Shot 52% from 3. 5 assists.
Cat came there.
He said that 52% on the season.
Cat said that people have been sleeping on them and they were gonna make, because when you really think about it, Minnesota, I mean, they had a lot go wrong for them last year, but they really are a playoff team in the base. That don't mean they're going to be in the playoffs, but they compete for the playoffs. They're not a lottery team. So, and Cat is top 3 at his position. So,
I think he fighting for top 2 and not number 2 though.
Nah, he 3rd. I can't put him over Jokic or Embiid at all yet.
He fighting for
If he carried them to the playoffs, then I'll put him 2nd.
So, Point Bron 2 games in.
It's over with already.
Already.
They're just waiting on Rondo to come back.
You already giving up on the point guard.
It was funny though. After the Lakers' first preseason game, they were the champions, and now like they ready to throw away the whole roster. It's funny, but LeBron playing point guard is cool situationally, and that's what gets lost in this. Right, that's what gets lost in this quote unquote positionless basketball, because that's just what's said to people. It's easy to throw around positionless basketball because in the commentators and the reporters and stuff nowadays, I don't want necessarily reporters, but the people we see on TV, even though you see a good mix of players, it's also a good mix of people who never played, never coaches, and they analytics. So it's just easy to say, oh, positionless basketball, you can put anybody out there anywhere, and they think that's just going to be a given. And it's situations like this where when you're given a position full time, when it shows that position, this quote unquote positionless basketball is just how the game has always been, but people whatever do it in spurts. LeBron can run your team for spurts, but he I can't say that he can't, because it's crazy to give up on it after 2 games, which they're apparently about to do. But in these games, he's shown that it's hard to focus on being a full-time point guard than people give them before, because they say, oh, he's a good player, so he should be a point guard.
Right.
And I think he also figured out in that first game that Anthony Davis can't be their first option. He can be their first option, but it's like he's not Shaq. He ain't about to carry them to the finals. And that's what they tried to do that first game.
I think but I think still, the point guard, LeBron at point guard is a weird situation. Theoretically, you would think it would work. I don't think it works with JaVale McGee and Anthony Davis at the 4 and the 5.
So it might work if he had better teammates too, but everybody thought Avery Bradley was going to
show
his game back from 4 years ago.
Hey, Danny Green did score 28. The
highest 18 in one quarter.
The highest for a Laker debut since Kareem, who Kareem had 27.
How much did Lakers play Utah last night and they won? I'm about to see how much Danny Green finished with. Because if he had 18, he had 28 in that game. Let's see how much he had last night. Because I don't think he's going to even account for 28 points over the next 3 games combined.
I think it's going to be opportunities for him.
It's going to be opportunities,
especially with the
team.
He
had 9 last night.
He had 9 last night.
Over the next 2 games, he's not going to equal the 28 he got in game 1. That's my bold statement of the day.
I mean, I think he just had, he got hot against Clippers. He went 6 for 6 behind the 3-point line. He's not going to go 6 for 6 too often, especially over this first week. So he just happened to have a hot game. Somebody had to have one.
Right.
But then LeBron comes back and he goes for
big game. 32. 10 assists, 7 rebounds.
So he went back to more LeBron than point Bron.
True. Anthony Davis, he took, shot 17 to 22. Anthony Davis had 21 points.
That's terrible.
I think it is.
Wait, 21 points?
21 points, yeah. 21 points, 7 rebounds, 5 blocks, though.
What he shot?
7 for 17. Anthony Davis. LeBron was 12 for 22. I think people thought they had the Lakers figured out after the first preseason game.
All right, they were fun. They were getting up and down the court. They were playing defense.
I think people don't realize that these positions do need a gel. I think that they have players. See, people got on the team last year because they had wacky names. And this year the teams doesn't have as many wacky names, but the game is just as wacky as the names. So Danny Green, he was unplayable in the playoffs. He was terrible offensively. Avery Bradley hasn't been relevant in years. JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard played more minutes than him last night. And I've been saying since the offseason that I would start Dwight over him. But Dwight played more minutes than JaVale McGee. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope played 20 minutes. He had 1 point.
Yeah, 1 point. He didn't score. He didn't even score the first game.
so he's scoring 1 point in 2 games. How do you play 20 minutes as a shooter for the team that has 1 point?
He's averaging 0.5 points on the game, on the season.
I'm sure a lot of Troy Daniels were taking advantage of it. I would actually start Troy Daniels. If you start him over Avery Bradley. If I'm starting LeBron at point, I would start Troy Daniels.
Better shooter.
Yeah, better shooter.
And he can play point as well, so he can bring the ball up and start the motion.
Exactly, because he's played point guard, so he can do some ball handling, and LeBron is still the point guard, but he can handle the ball a little more. But when Frank Vogel has said when Rondo comes back that he's probably going to be the starting point guard, and then In situations, he may come off the bench. It's pretty early, so you don't really even know what they could be because people think everything is finished. Like, if you think the Clippers are going to be... The Clippers are probably as close as a finished product as anybody else because they basically got their same team.
Right.
But at the same time, the Clippers aren't going to be amazing at every game either. Like, Zubac had 5 points in the first game, and he had 16 last night because Zubac takes advantage of the Warriors because the Warriors don't have a big man. They started Kevon Looney.
Right, because Willie Cauley-Stein is still out. Marquise Chris is a little on the thinner side.
But the Zubac's going to have 16 points every game? Come on now. That man averaged 4 points per game last year. So, nobody... is what they're really gonna be.
It's 2 games.
Exactly.
And with that being said,
give the Lakers a chance to play.
And my sleeper for the finals after 2 games is the Dallas Mavericks.
2-0, right?
2-0. Luka Porzingis is my 2-game MVP.
Ooh, hey.
Has the most triple doubles by anyone before the age of 21 with 9, passing LeBron who had 7. But Luka and Porzingis is gelling.
Magic had 7. LeBron had 5.
Oh, that was what it was.
Yeah. Luka's my 3rd favorite player in the league.
So with that being said,
second this year.
Luka and Porzingis is really gelling. So 2 games in once again, but Luka and Porzingis are really gelling together. They look like they both can be all-stars. And they look like they are what each other needed. With Luka being a playmaker and a scorer, and Porzingis also being a scorer, but being more of a secondary scorer.
Mm-hmm. I think that I never had doubt for them to kind of gelling together because when players can shoot from anywhere on the court, that just works together because you don't feel like somebody's always in your space. So
right.
Luka could go to the post, but he can shoot threes. He can shoot the mid-range. And then Luka, I hope they never try to force him to be a point guard because even though he can play point guard.
Let him play in the floor of offense.
Even though he can play point guard, Luka likes playing off the ball, but he also likes playing with the ball in his hands. So he could do both. So keeping him versatile also just keeps the team versatile also. And Luka, he having fun out there. I seen him throwing the layup. He leaving his hand up. He getting excited on the lob to Porzingis. And he looked like he was in New York playing street ball all summer. I've seen him cross a few people. Luka is, I think a lot of people thought that he was going to, I saw Kendrick Perkins. I sent him a little Instagram message because he said that he's not high on Dallas. He don't think they're going to make the playoffs or whatever. And people could, I guess you could scout Luka now because you've seen him because you didn't see him before, and maybe he thought Luka was gonna fade. It was gonna be a 1-year thing. Luka a hooper, man. You could tell that
Hashtag hooper.
Right, you could just tell that he is naturally good at the game.
He is. You
could tell that he has fun playing the game.
That as well.
He's the best European player I've ever seen just play natural basketball. No racist, cause whatever, but he could be he like a black guy playing guy. He move left to right, he plays like a brother. Ginobili played European basketball. Luka plays like a nigga. I'm sorry, I think
that's just the evolution of the game as well. Luka got to grow up in an age where basketball is front and foremost, even over in Europe, which is more seen as soccer being number one. But basketball is a worldwide thing as well. So you, Luka, and you get to grow up watching LeBron and James Harden, who he said he gets his step back from, Kevin Durant, Westbrook. You get to go back and the internet is everywhere, so you can go on YouTube and watch Iverson and Michael Jordan. And
I think what helped Luka out too though is most European players, when they come over here, they coming straight from their home country. He left his home to go play in Spain, so he was already kind of used to moving.
Right, and he left younger than most, and he left young too. What it is, 15, 16?
Right, 15, and played from 16 on to. And with that said too, most of these players when they come, they still be developing. They barely play on their team, or they get. I used to hate seeing the draft and it's a top 10 pick and he's 8 points a game. Luka won MVP over there before he came.
So instead of him having to develop his game,
he already got game.
Right, but he's just going to keep developing an NBA game instead of trying to develop how to play basketball in general. Which, you're right, that does give you a head start when say he was the MVP. Michael Peters was the France Jordan. He averaged 8 points the year before he came up, got drafted by Golden State.
I think his stats was 18 or 19 before he came, something like that. And they play shorter minutes or whatever. So the game is even really, kind of different. But to be an MVP over there before he came as a young player, because Luka, is he 20?
Yeah,
19?
He's 20.
He's young. He basically came out of high school.
Right.
He's young, and he good size, 6'7", 6. And I remember last year, he looked a little bigger, a little chubby.
He looks quicker this year.
Quicker, he lost weight.
He looks quicker.
And I think Luka he just different, man. He different. Luka is legitimately, I think, by next year. I mean, way too early prediction. By next year, we're gonna be saying he's a top 10 player because Luka a game changer. Like I think he's a game changer, and I think Porzingis fits so well with him that Dallas. I've been said I had to make it in the playoffs, but in like 2 years, Dallas could be a championship contender with those two.
Right, you just fill the roster out, put players around them, defenders, shooters, more playmakers.
Right,
you can't be looking at and I think Mark Cuban will do that. He know he had something. He tries his best to
fit around them, and they gonna make. I mean. It's good that Luka already is playing. He's comfortable with playing too, and then Porzingis are too. Because Porzingis is going into his prime. Luka's still some years old. Like he's 20. He's
and you already got Porzingis locked up. So you only worry about locking Luka up, which is you gonna do.
You ain't got to worry about locking Luka up. Mark Cuban gonna give him whatever Supermax deal he can give him as soon as he can. Like he would sign him to an 8-year extension right now if he could. Just book him in. And I think Luka gonna want to stay in Dallas because Dallas is gonna compete.
Right.
Dallas always is a competitive team. They never, even when they were trying to figure it out, they were never just bad, like bad coaching. So, but I sent a shot to Kendrick Perkins because he said that none of the people he know ever talk good about Rick Carlisle, and he's not high on Porzingis. The only person he know around Rick Carlisle, well, what do I know? I'm sure he got that from Rondo. Is where I was going with that because Rondo and Carlisle didn't connect or whatever.
Right.
But
like you gotta think, Carlisle's been in Dallas for a long time, not just because of that championship. Yeah. Like,
but whether you think Porzingis gonna be whatever, as long as Porzingis is 22 a game, Luka gonna be He gonna be a top 10 player by next year. By the time he's 25, he gonna be top 5. Top 5. Because by then, KD gonna be out the league. Kawhi gonna be out the league. Realistically, when you think about it, he's gonna be towards the end.
Right. So it's gonna be
Luka like Giannis. Giannis will be about 30, 31.
Right. So it's gonna be time for other
Luka
players.
Luka better than Giannis right now.
I want to switch to
no joke.
To the Boston.
I said it.
To Boston and Toronto real quick.
Okay.
Toronto just
$115 million. Jaylen Brown. Is he the highest paid player on their team?
I think he
should be. Who else?
He got more than Kemba?
No, Kemba got 146.
Yeah. But
146.
Both of them are 1-1.
Yeah.
Boston looked terrible against Philly. Toronto's looked shaky in both games. They lost to Boston. Jason Tatum had 25 on 22 shots, I think.
Yeah,
he was 8 for 22.
Getting them shots up.
Jaylen Brown played better. Kemba played. Everybody played better except
Jaylen Brown 11 for 20. Kemba was 8 for 22. Also,
I think they still trying to figure that offense out clearly.
Yeah.
But Toronto, 2 games in, like I said, 1-1. Toronto need to find their starting shooting guard.
Well, right now, cause they're going with the Fred VanVleet and Kyle Lowry
with OG at the 3.
I think that's what they're gonna go with all year though. If they don't move Kyle Lowry, because I'm assuming Kyle Lowry's gonna get traded. That's why I really think that they're starting VanVleet.
See if you want to measure future starting point guard.
Oh, they're gonna keep VanVleet. VanVleet's certified. He ain't going nowhere. It's just a matter of do he want to leave, honestly.
Right.
Because I think it's in their best bet to keep him. He's young. He's proven in the finals. And Kyle Lowry's the one that's getting older, so I would want to.
I mean, of course you trade Kyle Lowry first.
Right. I would want to trade Kyle Lowry and get a big guard maybe. You got to get somebody in there where
they need to score.
Pascal's not your best player, and he's their best player right now. He did have 33 last night, and he started off bad. As far as I didn't watch the game, so I just looked at kind of the statistics, and it didn't seem like he had a great first half. So to see that he finished with 33 and 8 shows that he pulled through in some kind of way. 11 for 22 from the field.
That's better than the first game.
Yeah, first game he was 27 shots. 34 points. So he's averaging over 30 to start the season. But Toronto's they're a weird team because they're good enough to make the playoffs, especially in the East. Right. You got vets or whatever, but
I think
when you start your rebuilding, because you're gonna have to rebuild
at some point.
Like I hope they're not in denial about that.
I mean, the only person,
crazy.
Like I said, the only person who's on a long-term contract is Pascal. Like Kyle Lowry got a 1-year extension, so
Pascal's there for the future.
So Serge is on what? Serge is on his last year. Marc Gasol's on his last year. VanVleet is clearly going to get extended.
I think maybe they're thinking they're going to flip Kyle Lowry to get something that put him in position Maybe it's Bradley Beal. I don't know. Maybe they get Bradley Beal.
Because Bradley Beal only signed a 2-year deal.
2 years, $72 million.
Right. So there's a chance of that.
But with Boston, I saw Gordon Hayward. I don't say that he think they're gonna surprise some people this year and end up in the finals. Maybe. I'm not really high on Boston team because I'm not high on their best players.
Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kemba Walker.
I like
Gordon
Kemba.
Hayward.
I like Kemba. I like Gordon. Especially I like the roles that they're gonna play. But with this team, even though Kemba just the one that got paid, that's who they brought in.
Right.
This team is built, and you could tell by the shot, because we know what we're gonna get from Kemba. Yeah. Like he ain't gonna be 8 for 22 every night. We know what we're gonna get from Kemba. This team is now set up for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown because of the money you just gave to extend.
Right.
We expect Kemba to average around 22 points, 20 points per game. He averaged 25 last year, 24. So you expect him to be in that 20 point per game range. But you can just even tell by the shots that Jason Tatum is taking, they expect you to average 25. And you expect Jaylen Brown to be 18 to 20.
Right.
And they pulled the game through, but they were really disappointed against Philly. Their offense looks terrible.
I think a part of that goes to...
Is Cantor hurt also?
Cantor's out, Taco Fall's out, and Romeo Langford are all three out. Taco hit his head on the low ceiling, concussion protocol.
Damn.
Yeah. But
his head on the low ceiling.
I think
that's how he out.
Yeah. I think Boston team, the one thing that they didn't really address, I know they did sign Cantor, they're thin up front.
Yeah.
Like Robert Williams, I know he's their starting center right now. He's not the playmaker that Al Horford was to make that offense work. Daniel Tice is a thinner center. Marcus Morris is gone, who's a good 4 for them.
They also lost Baines.
Right, also lost Baines to Phoenix.
I think they should play Edwards more. He didn't play at all last night. Really? I don't think he played against Philly. I think he should play, but I guess he kind of cuts into Marcus Smart's minutes. Yes. But I think you Marcus at the 2. But
I'll play them together because Edwards is a smaller guard,
right?
As is, Marcus Smart can still handle the ball and get the offense started because Carson can shoot.
Boston went from a team, and I don't really know how many picks that they had left, but they went from a team with a lot of assets to this is what our assets are, and it's making me look at Danny Ainge different as a GM. I don't think he can really build a team. I think he just can build assets.
Is he like the reverse Joe Dumars, but Joe Dumars when he got players that was ready to win? To where Danny Ainge got players that was going to be there for a longer term,
right?
To win over multiple years.
Yeah, he's just getting a lot of potential. Like, he's not a terrible GM, obviously.
No, it just doesn't look like that potential is turning into a product.
Right. I mean, the players that he's banking on, and like I said, it's 2 games in, so we'll see what these guys pull out, but... Like, I was expecting Jason. I wasn't expecting this because I don't think he's a bad player. He's just not my first option. I would love him as a second option. Maybe.
I think that's why you bring in Kemba though as your first option. I know what you just said about how they thinking about how the team is made with Jason and Jaylen. I think
me and Danny Ainge was expecting Jason Tatum to have an all-star year.
I think so.
So
yeah,
you're not competing for a championship, and Jason.
And especially how Jason Tatum was talking about. He reflected on last year how he was saying he was taking a lot of bad mid-range jump shots. Just bad threes in general. Like he did say he was going to attack the basket more. He said I think he did even say something on the line where he kind of let the Kobe thing get to him a little bit as well with his shot selection. So that as a 3rd-year player, that's a good way to get jump started on that. I think now, just some point, you just got to start playing basketball and start making your shots.
Right. I think that's the main thing.
Like I say, 2 games in, of course, you're not going to go 8 for 22 every night. But you got to start making your shots at some point.
And you make your shots by taking better. He takes a lot of bad shots because it seemed more so like he want to take tough shots.
Right.
And he hasn't gotten to a point where he's a get to your spot and it doesn't matter type of shooter. You got them people who as long as they get to their spots, they going to make the shot whether your hand is in their face or not. He's more of a rhythm shooter where he need to take open shots. Because he's not a great shooter. He's not a bad shooter, but he's not a great shooter. He should attack the basket more and play in the post more because he's really more of a slasher type of player.
Right. And then to catch and shoot shots like that. Once you get in rhythm, he does have a good handle. So once he get in the rhythm, he will be creating off the dribble for a jump shot would be nothing.
But he'll get better though. He's a 45% career shooter, 40% 3-point shooter. So early in the year, they got their first win.
All right.
It'll pick up for Boston. They're definitely gonna make the play. They should be top. They should be top 5 this year. Honestly, maybe even top 4.
Right. Jokic had a triple double last night. Jamal Murray is a Jamal Murray is a future All-Star starter, in my opinion. He played great.
Starter?
He played great down the stretch. Like, he closed the game out for him in overtime.
I don't know who he going to get the spot over.
Like you say, everybody's getting old. Like, Westbrook never started, but Westbrook is eventually going to retire.
Still got Steph and
Steph
James.
is eventually going to retire. James Harden is 10 years in. They're all 30+. So when James and, Jamal Murray
Yeah, I would start Jamal Murray.
is eventually going to be an All-Star starter. Jokic is eventual league MVP, in my opinion. He had a triple-double last night.
I don't buy Jokic as a league MVP, ever, really. I don't think he's ever going to put up the numbers. Not for real. He puts up really great bats. He puts up those, boy, y'all need to stop disrespecting his game type of numbers. Like, because he averaged, in this day and age,
but he averaged 20 and 10 last year.
That's not enough. Joel Embiid averaged 27 and 12, and that doesn't mean that Embiid is better than him. But Jokic plays such a great team game. It's like
I think Tim Duncan has the MVP though.
But
he has multiple MVPs.
That was early in his career when he was 24 a game. Was he scaled it down?
You got to think, was this Jokic's fourth year?
Right.
So I think Jokic can get 1 year where he can be 25, 12, and 7.
I think he gotta want to do it, and I don't think that's in him. Not that it's not in him. I just think he's too much of a team player. Which I guess this is the only knock ever. Because everything I'm saying is not like negative. He's in that top 3 center. He's number 2 for me right now. Because I got Embiid number 1. But I think Jokic could really be like 28 and 13 if he felt.
That's what I'm saying.
It.
I don't think he gonna. I'm not saying he gonna get 3-4 MVPs. Have multiple seasons where he's 28 and 13. But I think he win 65 games. He could be MVP. He gotta get high wins. Because you gotta think, not only is he gonna do it with the points and the rebounds, he is gonna get you 6-7 assists a night. He has that potential. And then he's a better defender than people give him credit for, so that also helps with MVP voting. So
MVP voting was easier a couple years ago when people weren't so just that heavy. Because I remember when Steph won 66 games, he averaged 23, and they like, oh, you shouldn't have been the MVP.
Right.
So if you was hating on the man that won 66 games and averaged 23, he's just not gonna get the love, especially in Denver too.
No, yeah.
I wish he would get the love. So
I think if he had that 125, 12, and 7 year.
Yeah, if he gets the 25, he'll win MVP.
That's what I'm saying. I think he can do it once. But I think, like I said, back to Jamal, I think this whole Denver Nuggets team is just well put together because they all complement each other. I think last year down the stretch they played the lineup. It was Jamal Murray, Gary Harris, Malik Beasley, Jeremiah Grant, and Jokic. Jeremiah and Paul
Jeremiah with this
Grant. He fits in.
Crazy dunk last night.
He got a couple of them. He's like the one on the break. Yeah, the one hand.
That boy crazy athletic.
Like I said, you still throwing Will Barton, Paul Millsap. I think this team is just well put together. They all can shoot. Malik Beasley got a couple good ones last night too. He dunked on somebody. I don't remember who it was. But he got a couple good ones he got a good one on the break as well. Just like I said, Jamal Murray is a shot creator.
Right.
And I think, like I said, I don't know if he's ever going to be an MVP candidate, but I think he can be second team All-NBA a couple times, but definitely an All-Star starter.
Yeah, I think Jamal Murray will get to a point. I mean, right now, he's probably, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, so I don't know no particular players in mind, but he's probably top 5 point guard in the West now, which is pretty hard. I mean, you got Dame, Steph, Westbrook, Jamal Murray, Chris Paul. Maybe you want to throw Mike Conley out there, but either way,
Conley made one shot their first game.
Right. I mean, I'm just saying for people. I'm not high on Mike Conley, but I'm not high on Mike Conley. Yeah. But Jamal Murray, like he really is a good player, and he shoots the ball so well. He plays with a good pace. Him and Jokic together are like really.
And he's
perfect.
the one Kentucky point guard that doesn't get any love shown his way.
Nah, he don't at all.
Like, you would forget that he went to Kentucky.
I think Denver though, they just missing. They
Michael
one
Porter
piece
Jr.
away. Yeah, and he's not playing yet, so maybe that means his role, I don't know what his role going to be. But Denver, they could possibly make the finals, but I think they one star power player away from really making the finals. Or if Jokic's average is 25, they'll go to the finals. But
what if one of them just take that step?
Yeah.
Whereas now you just add another consistent role player.
Like Jokic could average what he did last night, not the triple-double, because he ain't going to get a triple-double every night. But if he was 23, 14, and like 5, they going to the finals. Yeah. And he would be
MVP. I say, why not one of them could become that instead of them have to go and, like I said, they can just add a consistent role player.
Right, because as long as your role players are respectable players, it don't not that it doesn't matter, but it don't matter who they are because good role players play their role.
And I think they have good role players already.
Will Barton is if he's averaging his consistent 14 points and that transfers to the playoffs, you good. I mean, the Bulls in the 90s role players were great because they played their role all the time because they was locked in. You ask a young player today who Ron Harper is, and they probably won't know. But Ron Harper back then, he probably would have been the equivalent to not the same game and how they play, but he would be the equivalent to Fred VanVleet. You ask people if Fred VanVleet stepped up, that was Mario Chalmers, 27 game 5 against the Thunder in the finals. People forget about how good Mario Chalmers was for that team. Or Mike Miller, Shane Battier, because people got, you get spoiled with the Warriors and the names, because even Iguodala was a role player, but he got an all-star name because he was a former all-star. Iguodala averaged 5 points last year. He's a role player. And people just assume, though, because it was KD, Steph, Clay, they got to immediately be that. The Clippers are really good with role players.
Clippers have great role players.
Right, they just got the star power with Lou, because Lou is such a star, but
he's a different type of star.
I love Lou. Lou, we from Georgia. Lou was a legend when I was a freshman. He was a senior. I remember you first telling me about Lou when I was in the 7th grade, and there was this kid at South Gwinnett that was like, Lou is amazing. But Lou is 6 man for a reason. Like, he's in his role for a reason. But he respects that role. He understands it. He played it well, and that's why what he do is crazy. I mean, Shaman know his role for a reason. Patrick Beverly accepts that I'm going to have 2 points.
I'm going to have 10 rebounds,
10 rebounds one night, 6 assists. Defense, overall defense. So people who in 10 years, you won't even remember who Patrick Beverly probably is because it's going to be the next player and how they try to say, oh, yeah, them dudes was plumbers. Patrick Beverly going to be the plumber to the next level.
IT tech.
So
IT guy.
Denver has such respectable role players.
And they're good young role players,
right,
too.
Like Torrey Craig. Like I say, Jeremiah Grant, he a championship piece. Because you know how you're going to play. He's going to dunk on people.
Right, he brings something else. Right, he brings another wing defender to that team.
Right.
And he runs.
And he got soccer. He's 6'10", 6'9". Right. I mean, he looks like he's 6'11".
He's becoming a better shooter every year.
Exactly. So and like, Miles Plumlee. Like, I remember he got paid and people laughed at him because important they gave him their money. Miles is a good backup center, and he's a good utility starting center.
And then you can play him and Jokic together because he's so athletic and he can run and move.
He's a championship piece, so they really do have championship pieces. So it is on Jokic to become the MVP candidate, and on Jamal Murray to continue to become an all-star starter, at least be second team All NBA, be first team All NBA. You
third team, right? Just have
Kemba made All NBA last year, and they didn't make the playoffs, so.
It's possible.
I like Denver. I hope they keep ascending.
I want to say this about Phoenix. They hit 24 threes in their first game. Or was it last night? It was the first game. Ricky Rubio does so much for that offense that Ricky Rubio does so much for that offense that it's going to be an understatement because they're not going to make the playoffs. DeAndre Ayton's out the next 25 games, 24 after last night.
Maybe because they're gonna
peel it.
They're gonna speed up his arm, so we'll see how many he really gets. But he's not playing right now.
Right. Aaron Baines is filling in for him.
Right. They got. That's 18 points out the lineup. They lost by 1 last night. Right. You can't just say at 18, but there's 18 points.
But they also won big their first night though.
Right.
Kelly Oubre is looking like the player that they thought he could be in Washington.
To your point about Rubio though, 9 points last night, 8 rebounds, 9 assists. That's what Rubio brings. And then he just brings,
and he just moves the offense.
Right. When with a team with such young players that have just been playing, it's good to have that orchestrator, to have that Rajon Rondo kind of thing.
So now,
Rubio can run off.
Instead of Devin Booker catching so many passes flat-footed where he got to beat his man who can already get up on him off the dribble, you got Rubio who's pushing the pace, and now you can catch the ball running. So them two dribbles to the basket is much easier.
And he's setting the table in half court instead of you just automatically only running pick and rolls, just giving the ball to Devin Booker, or even just throwing it to 8 and then think that's just gonna be it. They're gonna be actually playing. So I kind of like Phoenix. I hope we'll see how that 8 thing works out. Clearly,
Hopefully he doesn't get that 20+ games.
I don't think he will. I think if you look up what the drug he did, it seems like he was just trying to get his urine out his system because he's been smoking weed all summer. But I don't know these to be facts.
So speculation.
I'm just not gonna throw that out there. But
did you see?
Stay off the weed. No, I'm just playing.
But did you see OKC? Washington.
I didn't see the game, but I've been looking at the stats because I'm interested in Shea and how Shea
balled out last night. He got a big dunk last night.
Yeah, he's been
at what 21.
Last night, I think he had. Let's see, I'm pulling up the stats now.
But I know Chris Paul looked like old Chris Paul. And when I say old Chris Paul, I mean like an old man. He had 6 points, but he was like 0 for 3.
See, that's why. I mean, it's
Steven Adams looking like he want to be an All-Star though.
I mean, he got the room to step up this year. But yeah, Shea had 28 last
28
night.
all the way up.
But it's room for Steven Adams to step up. That's like, OKC is clearly rebuilding.
Right.
I don't see why Steven Adams would be a player that they would trade.
Right, Steven Adams,
he's young and he's still developing.
Right, he came out. People forget Steven Adams came out as a freshman from Pittsburgh.
Right. So Steven Adams is. I mean, I guess he's 26. So
you keep him. He's just not entering his prime.
Right. I would keep Steven Adams because how long do you expect to be bad? Like you trying to be bad for 8 years?
And Shea is a better passer than I thought he was. I watched. I didn't catch the game last night. I saw some highlights. And he's a good passer. Like he's a better passer than people think he is because he also has that height on him, so he can see some stuff. So he can see over the defense and pick and roll situations.
Yeah, okay. See, they got something in Shea, and they honestly, I think their future is gonna be pretty good. He looks like a potential future All-Star kind of player, so I think they should be happy with.
What's
that
the word on Andre Roberson? I think he's after watching the highlights. I think they're basically finna go with the Chuck.
Roberson not playing. He didn't play last night.
I think that I don't know. He was in the suit last night. He was in the blazer.
He's been hurt like 2 seasons now.
Right, but I think they just finna around with the Ferguson Diallo combination at the 2 because they're both better offensively. Diallo with his athleticism, both of them athletic and can shoot, so they think both of them can turn into the defenders, even if they're just good defenders. Whereas Andre Roberson was a great defender, you got 2 of them. That's still good. Right. They're both young. I think they're just gonna roll with them 2 at this point. Because of the offense in general, and we don't. I know at that Andre Roberson actually did get hurt again. I was hearing that close when it was time for him to return.
So yeah, maybe it is time for the. I mean, I wouldn't be mad if they moved on from him. He's a solid piece, but I don't think he's a player you wait 3 years for. I mean, his offense it don't exist. I can't even say that it leaves a lot to be desired because there's nothing there at all. So. His defense, he's a good defender, but in the end of the day, he's just 6'7", really long paws. So I think he's very replaceable. And like I said, you got Ferguson and Diallo, and they're young players. I would put more time into them. But I mean, maybe you can't even trade that piece because we're gonna trade for Roberson at this point.
Right.
So, but I would definitely go with them and then see what you get in the draft because they got obviously a lot of picks over there. I don't think it depends on what happens, but they probably might not even get to those later picks. I think that's more so something you keep, and then when you're in a position, you trade those picks and get somebody else instead of necessarily trying to draft somebody. Because you can't predict what players are going to be.
Right, and then they got the Clippers and the Rockets pick.
Right, so it's not like they're going to be high picks. So I think they're going to eventually trade those picks for better players. Right. Which, future look good in OKC. We'll see if they continue to get better. That's just the main thing.
Was it Ryu Hachimura? He looked pretty good last night. He played a lot of 3. Thomas Bryant looked good. He worked out Rico all summer.
Yeah, he been with him the last 2 years. He had to get his career back on track because he was going to be a lost one. Yeah. So it's good that he had a great year last year. And Washington rewarded him, gave him a new deal. And it's good that he's keeping it going because he got good size, he got good instincts and stuff. Right. He's an NBA player, so shout out to him.
He's shooting that jump shot confidently.
Washington would look different if they had John Wall. He's probably not gonna play this year. I know a lot of people giving up on John Wall. They think it's over for him. So we'll see how that looks when he comes back. It'll probably be next year. So. I like just a quick thing I want to throw out there before we get out of there. I want to shout out to Trae Young for the great game that he had the other day for the Atlanta Hawks. I actually Trae to be an All-Star this year. Derrick Rose also looked great in that game, 27 points. Rose. So, but Trae, 38 points, pulling up from the logo like Dame Lillard. Trae gonna have a good year, and I wanted to show Trae some love because Trae is one of the first players I can remember that, you could tell he's embracing being an Atlanta Hawk. He likes being here. And
Right now, he's just like being in Atlanta. He likes being in Atlanta Hawk.
Right, yeah.
That helps. Like, it's one thing to want to be here. You can live here, but he actually wants to play here.
He's gonna go down like Dominique, cause like Joe played here and Joe was an all-star, but then Joe was also more reserved player. But I guess people can kind of forget that he played for the Hawks. When you think of the Hawks, you only think of Dominique or whatever. And Joe had just as much success, honestly, as Dominique did. Those are the most winningest years in the Hawks franchise history. So I think Trey is he's gonna be one of those Dominique Wilkins type players for the Hawks. I hope the Hawks continue to put talent around him. They got good young talent because I love him. Him and John Collins together is crazy. Cam's gonna get better, like Kevin Huerter. I think Jabari Parker is gonna love playing with Trey, and he's not gonna leave. He had a great day the other day.
Yeah.
So, I think Trey gonna keep it. I hope the Hawks continue to put talent around him, continue to invest in him, and like show him out around the city. Put up some billboards with Trey or something somewhere.
Right. Make him feel like this is
market
home.
Trey and John Collins is what I would say. Don't lose those two players, and it'll be a successful. I'm not saying they're going to win the championship,
but
Trey
that's
is
good.
That's
good. I think both of them are all-star.
Trey should be a top 5 at his position, and by next year, at least in the East, you got Ben Simmons, you got Kyrie. After that, you got
Kemba is up for grabs.
It's up for grabs, Trey. So Trey get in the top 5. So shout out to the Hawks. Shout out to Trey Young. I don't know who they got next, but hopefully they win their next game. And I'm gonna be at some games this year. Definitely gonna catch the Philly game. But that's all I got.
Yeah, I think that's the end of this episode. Hopefully, it's a couple of games today. We got them scheduled today, just in general.
You got the Hawks and the Magic, Philly, Detroit, Miami, Milwaukee, and then we got Boston, New York, Pacers, and Cleveland, Toronto Bulls, and then the Pelicans and the Rockets, and then Washington and the Spurs are last.
You got a full day of games, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's a lot of games today. Oh, nope, 2 more games. Sacramento, Utah, Clippers.
Sacramento is disappointing after 2 games.
Yeah, they 0-2 right now, so they'll pull it together. Now they probably going to lose tonight, too, so 0-3.
Jon Dubya.
Fresh Chicks.
Or the Hoopers.